who else is out if you were trying to make room for a team like Kansas? And who else do you two, I want to hear from y'all first. Who else do you two think should be in the mix for those spots in the top 25?
Can we first offer a little bit of evidence to show just how bad Michigan State actually played while this game was actually a game? Because the final score is quite deceiving, in my opinion, right? Washington housed these guys.
Yeah.
I pulled this stat off Twitter, and I should have linked it, but Washington gained 322 of a possible 323 yards in the first half. Literally, like, they kicked the field goal one time. Michigan State's defense is hot garbage against anybody who can pass, which will be hidden at times in the Big Ten, but not all the time. And Washington just carved them up. So
somebody said Michigan State's overrated. Somebody was out here.
My radio guy. He said, "Hey, I think we might suck."
I was like, I think we should maybe lock up Washington -3.5 because I think this Michigan team is not fixed all the way on defense. But who am I? But right, just a vibes guy over here.
I want to gloat a little bit speaking along those lines, that shit, because you mentioned it on the show. I mentioned it in the preseason. We were doing win totals. Like, just don't really think that this defense is any good. Don't think it's fixed. I had some Sparty fans in my mentions the last few weeks talking about how they'd only allowed 13 points in their first 2 games, against Western Michigan and Akron.
Yeah, so I agree with you all, Sparty, all the way out. So my next question is, who else might be out of the top 25? Because you've got a Florida team that struggled with
Get them out.
Yeah, Florida does not look like a top 25 team. Wake does not look like a top 25 team at this point to me. Like, they're not playing good enough defense, and the offense is not cruising like it was.
Get A&M out of there, even if they hold on.
I mean, that's the thing. I don't think you're talking about what deserves to happen. I'm also talking about what I think will happen, right?
Sure.
So, like, what I think will happen is that Florida's win against Utah is just enough to hang inside. They could end up falling out, but you're 2-1.
What if Utah loses? I don't think they're going to. They're up 21 to nothing.
But that's I think that the Utah win is enough weight for Florida to be able to remain in. I think that Pitt, like, you could talk about them being out. Wake, I do have dropping. I think that they will fall to like the very, very edge because there were already some voters that weren't in on Wake Forest. And so if you needed any reason to doubt more, 37-36 when you were a heavy favorite against Liberty, that is a reason to doubt even more. But, outside of that,
BYU, and they got housed.
See, that kind of leads to what I was going to ask you guys, because here's one for you. Like,
Baylor
Oregon was ranked.
The floor. Baylor is the floor for BYU, and I think I've got Baylor dropping 2 spots to 19. I've got BYU dropping from 12 to 18, and then I've got Oregon's jump from 25 to 17. So basically, we've got this log jam of Oregon, BYU, Baylor, where it's too early in the season for you not to look past the head-to-head results when you start to stack those teams up.
But do you have Washington ranked?
Yes, 15.
All right, because that's what I was going to say. Like, with Oregon was ranked 25 last week, after, beating, who was it? It was
Eastern
Washington. After getting crushed by Georgia, which I think we've learned we shouldn't hold against anybody, but still. So they beat Eastern Washington, they beat BYU, but Washington has wins against Kent State, Portland State, and then just beat Michigan State, who's a higher ranked team than BYU. So it's like they both have to be ranked. Kansas needs to be ranked. We're only getting rid of Michigan State so far. And it's like, where do we make the room?
Right. And that's like rank Kansas. That you're right. That's a very, very fair argument. I just don't know, when I'm trying to project this thing, where they're going to break in. That's where you needed Florida to lose. You needed Texas to lose. You needed, Pitt with its 3rd string quarterback not to be able to actually have a 21-point win at Western Michigan. There's just a huge log jam. We're like, so what's our Texas A&M? Texas A&M
17-9.
Oh my God, another field goal. Oh my God.
You won't believe it, but Miami kicked another field goal.
Like,
you know what? Screw it.
If
Miami
he would just be like,
gone.
We're not going to play the game. I just want to recruit. Okay.
This is
Get Miami out. Get Miami out of the top 25. Put Kansas.
Miami does not look like a ranked team. Like, I do think at some point they will be a ranked team. I do think that they're going to win the Coastal still, probably. But right now, they don't look like a ranked football team. Honestly, A&M doesn't either, but that's just whatever. Okay, here's a couple more for you.
App State. You've got
App State should be in.
Yeah.
Washington State,
but like App State has a loss to an unranked North Carolina. So it's like, if you're going to bring one, are you going to bring both of them? And again, who are you throwing out?
But that loss was in overtime.
No, it wasn't.
And it also beat.
Nah, baby. There were 124 points in regulation.
That's right. It had an overtime score, but it was in regulation. But I mean, they beat Texas A&M, and now Texas A&M's turning around beating the number 13 team in the country. App State deserves to be ranked. I mean, like, Florida does not deserve to be ranked anymore. We talked about that a little bit. I think if you got rid of Florida, it won't happen because they're 18 and they won, and voters are just going to keep them where they are.
No, it's the Utah win. As long as Utah, because like if you're going at just 3 data points, then that Utah win holds a little bit of weight. But I'm with you. Like Florida, I mean, even the biggest Florida fan that we work with mentioned in the workroom tonight, it was like, Florida should fall out. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Florida does not look like a top 25 team, but I'm not giving my opinion here.
Why is Florida ranked over the Noles?
Because of the Utah win.
Yeah, but LSU won tonight, and they beat previously unranked Ole Miss. Florida beat Utah, who has beaten nobody else so far this year, and looked terrible at home losing Kentucky. FSU went on the road, lost their – I mean, we'll do Noles to go on Monday, I would guess, but lost their quarterback, lost their best defensive player, lost their best offensive lineman, already didn't have their best tackle, didn't even fly with them. Like, Florida should not be ranked over FSU. And I'm going to catch heat in the comments because I'm a Nole, et cetera, et cetera. But, like, how?
Minnesota at 3-0. Unfortunately,
Minnesota hasn't played anybody, though.
Yeah.
So it's like, I get it. Like, they've dominated.
3-0? Washington State.
3 group of 5 wins.
Washington State beat Wisconsin in Madison, and they did not have a letdown today. They actually took care of business against Colorado State. So I think they have a better case.
Washington State has a better case.
Yes, than Minnesota.
Yes. Although I do think sometimes we spend too much time paying attention to the teams that you did beat rather than how you played against the team that you played. And in that respect, Minnesota has just beaten the piss out of everybody it's faced. So in that angle, it should be ranked, but I can see why it's not going to be.
Also, there are a lot of realities where App State does not have just 1 loss. There are a lot of realities where App State has 2 losses, but how blessed are we to live in the reality where this went down today in Boone.
We'll see. See how many Troy rushes here.
2 seconds left
to try to knock one down. 3-man rush. Chase going to step up in the pocket. Sets. Throws high into the air. It's up for grabs. It is juggled. Miracle part 2. It's miracle part 2. Oh, they did it. Oh my gosh. Don't you do it, baby.
That is courtesy of Adam B. Witten and the Varsity app. App State App State had a 17-play drive in the 4th quarter that ate 9 minutes off the clock and got inside the 3-yard line for what should have been or could have been the game-winning score. Chase Bryce's pass into the end zone on 4th and goal from the 2 is incomplete. Eerily reminiscent in the very same building of him missing a wide open man on a 2-point conversion that could have been a walk-off win against North Carolina. So Troy gets the ball inside their own 5-yard line. They opt to take a safety, not unheard of. You're up 4. You take the safety, you pin the other team the other way. You dare them to be able to march down the field. And then Chase Bryce delivers a heave that doesn't quite make it to the end zone, but is deflected down, scooped up, and run into the end zone for a walk-off 32-28 win for the App State Mountaineers. Again, there was App State's going to win this game. 17-play drive. Ate up almost the whole fourth quarter. Everything was going their way until it wasn't, and then it was again. Troy had the lead early. Troy, I thought, brought incredible effort. Remember, they were 12-point underdogs in the game.
Didn't have their best player, by the way.
Didn't have their best defender. Yeah.
Arthur Marshall, who makes like 1 million tackles a game for them, didn't play.
Yeah, he was gonna break records with his next tackle as one of the all-time leading tacklers. Yet App State might be on one. I mentioned all this week after in the wake of the Texas A&M game. I said, look, here's the deal. Like, App State's gonna put the photos and the pictures of that win all over their facility, and it's gonna go down as a memorable moment. But what's important here is what's at hand, which is App State, a program that just joined the FBS less than a decade ago, has an opportunity, if they can win the Sun Belt, to be able to make it to a New Year's Six bowl game. If you got that win at Texas A&M and you are the Sun Belt champion and you are limiting your loss column, you've got a chance to play in one of the biggest stages that college football has. You just don't need to go screw it up. They almost screwed it up with a conference loss to Troy here on the following Saturday. So App State is on one, but they can't play with fire like this again. But if they continue with this kind of momentum and magic, we could see the Mountaineers become one of the great stories in college football. We could see the Mountaineers challenge, especially given Cincinnati struggling with Miami of Ohio early on, given Houston's loss to Kansas. You start to look elsewhere among those group of 5 teams. Who else is going to be in the mix besides along with App State? So I think that for the Mountaineers, an incredible moment. Boone is to be in Boone right now would be a life-altering, mind-altering, sure, but life-altering experience.